Swift here, and it's time for more Otaku Evolution. Be sure to like, subscribe, and contribute to my Patreon. Today I'll be looking at an anime comedy. Not just a comedy, but a balls-to-the-wall hyperactive parody fest. When done right, parody is one of my favorite forms of comedy. What a parody does is exaggerates both broad tropes and trends and recognizable specific characters and situations in a way that either calls attention to their innate silliness or celebrates them with good-natured ribbing. Because of this, parody must lean on the public's popular consciousness. A parody must have recognizable exaggerations to appeal to a greater number of people. It's harder to find something funny when you don't understand the reference being made. But parody can be tricky. While it doesn't have the constraints of satire, which must by its nature criticize and educate, it still has to be balanced just right to make the references timely and the exaggerations fitting. Simply making a reference to something is not, by itself, necessarily funny. You have to commit enough to the reference to make it recognizable, but not overplay your hand as to make the joke overstay its welcome. There's a balance to be maintained. But there are no hard and fast rules for what makes good parody. Some parodies have attempted to copy the formula of successful parodies of the past and have been found wanting. Why is that, I wonder? Why does something work so well with some parodies, but fail so badly with others? I think part of the reason is that a good parody sticks to a basic theme, where a bad parody is all over the place. However, there's always the rare rule breaker that somehow works despite itself. I think Saga, a litany of different anime parodies, works exactly because it doesn't have any set rules. It will parody almost anything, and somehow, for the most part, it's still funny. For a while, anyway. Saga, a 26-episode television series produced by JC Staff, is a distilled adaptation of Koshi Rikto's manga of the same name. Director Shinichi Watanabe, or Nabashin, and his writers added various elements of their own for the anime, but it follows the same basic premise. That is, in the city of F, Prefecture of F, the secret organization called Across plots world domination. Though, to be safe, they decide to start merely with conquering the city. The leader of the organization, Lord Il Palazzo, sends his agents on missions to that end. The problem is, he really only has two agents, the hyperactive idiot Excel, who is hopelessly infatuated with her leader, and the anemic Hyatt, the more competent of the two, but always on death's door. They live in an apartment with their dog and emergency food supply, Menchi. And while they have what can roughly be considered enthusiasm for their work, they are complete and utter failures. Especially Excel. Excel's incompetence is magical.
You see, it has come to my attention that Across's plan to conquer the city may have been noticed by the current authorities.
Oh my god! What a crisis! Security alert! On what basis do you say this, sir?
On the basis of these flyers.
Those flyers!
Yes, Excel?
Excuse us! We came because we saw your flyers! Hi, my name is Mikako Hyatt. And my name's Excel Kobayashi. And together we're the... Hello!
Oh, Excel!
Opposing Across from the light is the Department of City Security, led by the mysterious Kawapu, and staffed by people who thought they were just becoming ordinary civil servants. The long-suffering and unlucky Watanabe, the lecherous and dim-witted Iwata, the sensible and understanding Sumiyoshi, the intelligent and pragmatic Metsuya, and the two Ropponmatsu androids, Ropponmatsu 1 and 2, designed specially by a scientist with a very peculiar interest.
Excellent.
This is a very popular location, isn't it? Am I intruding?
Yes, lots.
Sitting on the park bench by the little girls who live bad intent.
The cast is rounded out by three other characters. One is the director himself, Nabashin, who runs here and there throughout the series, getting into and out of varying scrapes, and occasionally helping other characters. Another is Pedro, the migrant worker who finds himself Fate's chew toy after he dies in a fire Excel accidentally started, and after becoming a ghost, discovers his beloved wife's infidelity and going through various other trials. And finally, there's the great will of the macrocosm, depicted as a swirling mass of space, who often resets circumstances in the show when they've become too grave. She becomes Pedro's lover. That Pedro goes through a lot, poor guy.
I have lost my body and the love of my sexy wife. Can there be anyone who can understand the depths of Pedro's sorrow? I want to shout from the bottom of my heart and with all my might, no!
Being that this is a 26-episode series, you would expect that there would be recurring jokes that would pop up now and then, and you'd be right. There are several running gags in this series, aside from the constant references to other anime. Running gags like Excel's obsessive and one-sided love for Lord Il Palazzo. Much of the boundless energy of our heroine is spent adulating her boss, a sentiment that the enigmatic leader of Lacrosse finds annoying. The thing is, Excel knows that Il Palazzo finds her irritating, but is still shocked at the lengths at which he goes to leave her out of the most important missions. It all comes to a head in the final episodes of the show, when Excel finds herself betrayed by the very man she dedicated her life to. You sort of feel bad for the poor dimwit. Then you remember that her incompetence has been holding back across, so you can sort of see where Il Palazzo is coming from, at least on some level.
Huh? She wants me to keep going?
Another running gag is Watanabe's infatuation with Hyatt, who he only knows as Miss Ayasugi, the demure and sweet, if not constantly ill, next-door neighbor. Hyatt is relatively clueless as to his feelings, thinking only of him as a nice person who helps her out now and then. The poor sap has it bad for her, though.
Don't worry about it. It's only natural to help someone in trouble. That's the kind of guy I am.
My bag!
No, I dropped my wallet!
Somebody's kidnapped my bag!
Shut up! Can't you be in trouble quietly?
Then, of course, you have the bad luck of Menchie, the emergency food supply dog, who tries her hardest to escape from Excel and Hyatt's clutches, even going on adventures of her own, which are terrible. The unfortunate mutt just wants to escape being eaten by her owners, but always ends up with them in the end.
What am I going to do about finding out who I am? Huh? Hey! Are you all alone too? No, I'm all by myself as well. But at least you still have your memory, right, girl? Hey, if you stick around a bit, I'll make you dinner.
Excel Saga also features the mysterious Poochus, cutesy bear-like creatures from another planet, whose invasion is halted by Excel early on, and end up all over the place, showing up constantly in the background and occasionally taking part in the story. Apparently Hyatt is related to them in some fashion, but it's never really explained how. There seems to be more intelligent Poochus, and there are two sides at war with each other.
If a man decides something must be done, he must accomplish it without another word. No matter how difficult that path may be. Isn't that right, my friend?
When men dream, it's always women who must make the sacrifice. And yet...
Power build up at 120%!
Many of the jokes in Excel Saga revolve around the theme of the episodes. For instance, the third episode is a parody of a jungle-based action movie, with gorilla types and explosions galore. There's an episode that's horror-themed, specifically revolving around a xenomorph-like alien living in the tunnels below Across's base. There's an episode where Excel and Hyatt are teachers and have to deal with a group of roughneck students. There's the one that's a take on detective stories, where a woman detective is possessed by her father, also a detective, whenever she wears his hat. And there's a rock-themed episode where the pretty boy Key appears to deliver a message to Il Palazzo from his superiors. Although the production staff appears in the show to bemoan how they've run out of ideas, and some episodes seem to support that, there's plenty of material here to work with, and while the show stumbles at times, it picks itself back up towards the end.
We'll all fight together. This battle isn't yours to fight alone. It's for the sake of love and the peace. Time to
Finish it!
No!
This isn't bad.
Time to get out of here.
What? Where are you going?
Now let's discuss my favorite episodes of the series. The first we'll look at is the episode where Excel and Hyatt get a job at a bowling alley. A television show about celebrities bowling is being recorded there, and everyone is taken hostage when a group of bowling-obsessed terrorists show up. Excel receives special intense and brief training from Nabashin so she can confront the terrorists' leader.
Only one man left! Say your prayers!
Don't get so cocky! You beat my men, but I'm known as the ball flicker from hell! Your skill means nothing to me, and I'm sending you to the gutter!
Did you say ball flicker from hell?
No.
Later in the show, the Department of City Security finds themselves forming a classic Sentai team, complete with power suits that enhance their strength. Kabapu wants them to use their new powers to go out and conquer evil in the city, but F-City is too law-abiding, and the team is forced to punish the most minor infractions with deadly force.
Leave it to me! First electron! Did you see that? I just shouted and those gun things came out!
Is this a power of the suits?
Towards the end, there's an episode that's a parody of Leiji Matsumoto's space epics, with a little of Gundam thrown in for good measure, where the aforementioned two groups of Poochus fight, and Excel finds herself pulled into the conflict. There are a lot of great references to the first two seasons of Space Battleship Yamato in this one, and it's funny to see Excel semi-competent.
Looks like we're the only ones managed to make it back. At least we have a place to go back to. Poor Katsuchu, Retsuchu, Kikachu, Farachu. Who were they anyway?
One of the final chapters is a whole episode parody of Fist of the North Star. Excel is in the Kenshiro role, wandering across the post-apocalyptic wasteland that was F-City, and doling out her brand of punishment to the cruel marauders. It's at the end of the episode we get a sincerely emotional moment, granted only so because it's framed differently than similar scenes early in the series, and it leads us into an episode without any gags.
Excel is sorry she's been gone so long! She is prepared to be dropped down the hall as many times as needed to make up for it, so please open this door! Are you asleep? Please don't be so heartless and let me inside! Hello? I'm begging you, Lord Il Palazzo, it's your faithful Excel! Just one look! Please let me see your face just once, Lord Il Palazzo, please! I know you must be angry! I know you must be super angry! Lord Il Palazzo, this is your Excel!
After the main storyline is resolved, there's an extra episode of Excel Saga, the 26th and final, where they pull out all the stops and give the finger to TV censorship. It's full of nudity and bloody violence, and you just know the people who produced the show were letting out pent-up feelings they had up until then. The question is Excel Saga good parody? Well, Excel Saga is all over the place. So what is it a parody of? Each episode is a quack experiment, its own parody, so that makes a series of parodies rather than a single focused one. Normally this wouldn't work. Good parody sticks to a theme, commits to it. And even within each episode of Excel Saga, you'll see references made to things completely unrelated to that episode's theme too, so that's extra bad for a parody. What are all these sudden references? How can Excel Saga work? But somehow, for the most part, Excel Saga does work. It remains pretty uniformly funny throughout, only dragging for lack of ideas in the second half before picking itself back up toward the end. Maybe because of its characters, who you can have fun seeing react to each episode's theme or situation. Maybe it's the sheer audacity of the show itself. My best guess is that it's not just one thing that makes it work, but a combination of things.
There are 4 days until Sunday. I'm begging you, please help us beat Monkey Balls!
But can you not do this yourself, sir?
Alas, my body is being ravaged by an incurable disease.
An incurable sports disease? Could it be that you have sporadic anal enlargement syndrome and the doctors say you can only poop healthily for another 10 months and 10 days?
Oh my god, how did you guess? That was so direct. Couldn't you probe such a subject more delicately? In the end, my anus will fail and that will be the end of my... But let's move on now.
You see, For each random reference in an episode, there is little, if any, distraction from the theme of that episode. It stays on task and theme, even if the actual plot can go in various directions. Add to that the memorable characters and strong performances from the voice actors, in both Japanese and English, and the boldness with which the comedy is pursued, and you have yourself a unique little exception to the rules of parody. But I can't really explain why something is funny per se. Comedy in particular can be very subjective. I can only tell you why I believe Excel Saga works. You'll have to watch it yourself to decide whether you agree or not. And please do, if you can.
Wait, that's the clue to solve this puzzle. If I put these two rings together...
I didn't say all that! Well, that's Excel Saga. Next time we won't stray too far from comedy when we cover a Lupin the Third feature. Though maybe we will stray from good comedy, and quality storytelling, and excitement, and, well, there's something Lupin related next episode anyway. Until then, see ya!
Wow! You win! You sure can hold your breath, Hotchan. But you gotta learn some other way to swim besides that. I mean, you've been floating like that for over 37 minutes now. Hotchan?